asking questions. How do they get their information? Where do they hang out? Really getting to understand how your customer, how you're going to find your customers. And then a little bit, even on those interviews, you can start asking them how much money they would pay for what you're offering. So again, I'm hoping that most of you have scribbled a little bit to the answers of those 5 questions. And so tonight, the first part of this workshop, I'm going to go over those 4 other boxes on the left. How do you do what you do? What do you have to do? What resources will you need? Who is around in your universe who can help you? And a little bit of work on how you can start thinking of really how much money you're going to need to get started. So let's go on to that box 6, which is key activities. How do you do it? So again, this goes back to the other boxes that we've already covered. In that value box, you should already be thinking of what is unique about your solution to the problem. So that first question that you see on my screen here is really the question, what must you do to deliver value and your unique features? And what is your absolute guarantee? And again, that guarantee, what is unique, that starts to tell you what's really going to be important. So one of the things to really make this a little clearer that I like to talk about is that if you think of very large companies, they typically are known for one of these 5 things under your brand. If you think about it, some companies kind of tell the whole world that they have the best people working for them, and that's why they develop something that's better than anyone else. Examples of that might be some consulting firms, or there's an investment banking firm, Goldman Sachs, that absolutely brags to everyone that they have the best people in financial world working for them. A second way to kind of really identify yourself as being unique is to say that you have a process of solving the problem that's different from anyone else. An example of that might be Amazon, that Amazon has a different kind of process of how you buy something, how you pay for it. Really, when you go to Amazon, it's a very smooth purchase, typically, and a search for what you're looking for. Another way that companies can brand themselves is an infrastructure, that they have the best platforms. And certainly every cell phone company is trying to tell you that they have the best G5 network. And then another example of how you can really differentiate yourself is to say that you have the best designed product or service. An example of that would be Apple. And then another typical way to differentiate yourself is to say that you are doing incredibly social good. So once you start kind of thinking about what your guarantee is, that next step is that that's going to tell you what are the key activities that you have to do to get started. So again, if you're going to say you're going to have the best people, you have to think about how you're going to hire them. Best processes, you have to think about how you're going to, the steps you're going to take to deliver your product. Infrastructure may be that you have to do the coding to build your app. Design is that you have to design your product. And social good would mean that you really have to be thinking about what kind of organizations or people you really want to be known for helping. Again, as I said before, the people, process, infrastructure, design, and social good are the ways that you start thinking about your activities. So again, to go a little bit deeper, again, is what are all the activities that you're going to need to create your product? What are all the things that you're going to have to do to find your customers, reach out to people? What are all the things that you're going to have to do to build a relationship with your company, with your customer? And what are all those things that you're going to have to do to make money? Okay, so those are the kind of the activities. Now now we thought about what you're doing, your brand, what you want to be known for, and what you have to do. So now let's start thinking about what you have to line up. What might you have to find for free, or what might you have to kind of figure out how you're going to pay for? So the resources for building a business are typically in these 4 categories. It's the physical resources, things like you need a computer or a car or a truck. It's the intellectual resources, like you may need a mailing list, or you may need a logo, or you may need to design and come up with a name to your company. The human resources, which is about people, and financial resources, which are about money. So just again, to go a little bit deeper into each, as you're thinking about building your business, what are the physical resources that you're going to need? Are you going to need office space? Are you going to need vehicles? Are you going to need some kind of machinery? Are you going to need supplies to create your skincare line? Are you going to need computer systems? Are you going to need other kind of things that you have to put together, like a warehouse or a distribution system or packaging? What are all the physical resources that you have to do to be able to put together your product or service? Intellectual, that's to think about what kind of logo you may have to create. Do you have any copyright? Do you need to be buying any databases? What kind of intellectual things will you need potentially to start your business? Third thing is people. How much of this can you do yourself? But what other kind of skills, what kind of other people will you need? If you're doing a skincare line, do you need to have dermatologists or other people, chemists involved with you? Do you need an accountant? Do you need some legal help in getting your company started? Do you need a website designed? Do you need coding done if you're going to have an app? This is the time to be thinking about all the kinds of people that you would need. And also it's a good time to be thinking of what kind of people do you think you could you really are going to have to pay? Are some of you things that you need that you could find student interns? Is it possible that you have family members or friends who might be able to help you with some of these things out of the goodness of their heart or their interest to helping you get started? And of course, the last thing that is so important is to really think now about the kind of money that you need to get started. How much cash do you have? Most companies and businesses get started with people using their credit cards or their savings or their retirement accounts or their home equity line. That typically is the way that people get businesses started. Hopefully, if you have a really good credit line, you might be able to get a line of credit, and you might be able to encourage people to partner with you and actually offer them shares in your company or a percent ownership in what you do. But the main thing that I really want to stress is that in this day and age, it really is possible to start a company even if you have very limited resources. Particularly for something like a skincare line, you can start a business by doing a GoFundMe campaign or a Kickstarter campaign where you actually pre-sell your product and collect the money before you manufacture it. And then you have your cash on hand and can actually place your order and then get your product out to your customers. So there also are a ton of contests now that you can win grants and prizes for starting a business. So don't get discouraged if you think that this is something you really want to do, but you're a little overwhelmed by where you're going to find the money. There definitely are places out there, and I'm sure that even the Suffolk County program, community college program, has resources to help you find potential contests and grants to start something. Okay, something that I often think that when you're starting a company that people forget to think about is who really can be a partner? Who possibly can you work with so that you don't have to spend money? And who do you know that might be able to help you find people who need your service? I know Christina is talking about potentially starting a business where she's helping people with depression or anxiety, hoping to offer that maybe a humorous point of view might be able to help those people. I mean, partners might be churches then, partners might be guidance counselors at schools, partners could be mental health professionals. So this is the idea of just taking a few minutes and realizing that starting a business is not an alone journey, that you actually have people probably in your universe already who can help you. It's the time to think about all your relatives, your uncles, your aunts, your cousins. Do you have somebody in your family or your friends network who can help you with a website? Definitely a part of starting a business or building a company from that startup phase is really thinking and spending some time about all the people in your universe that potentially could help you get launched, get started, find customers, create your product. And then again, just to go over this again, be possible partners or people also give you advice on legally how to start it or give you advice on things. People who supply like parts or the ingredients to say your skincare line are potential partners to you. The government or schools can be a partner, churches can be a partner. You can find co-opetition, you can find people who are in similar businesses who you may want to do joint marketing events or joint kind of emails, sharing each other's customers, and also perhaps even working together to start something new. And also the idea of having a formal strategic alliance as a way to get yourself started. Now, the big thing that you have to take some time on before you start a company is to think about really how much money you need. And these are some of the beginning questions for that. It's the idea that you should keep thinking about your key expenses. Which of the resources that you've thought about are the most expensive? What are the activities that you just thought about that are the most expensive? And also, which of these expenses do you really have to invest even before you have $1 of revenue? Which of these expenses are what we call fixed? In other words, that you're going to have to pay for the internet, your monthly internet bill or your computer payment, or if you choose to rent an office or a store or something, you have to pay that rent even if you don't have any revenues. And then there are other expenses that we call variable and scalable. That means as you sell things that you actually have those expenses go up, but hopefully you have the revenues also there to help you cover those expenses. So just a little bit of thinking about that 9 box. So from last week to this week, we've kind of scribbled together some answers to all those 9 questions that you need to answer before you start a business. We've described the front of the house. We've described tonight what I call the back of the house. We've talked about who we're serving, what we're doing, why we're doing it, and how. And again, as I started last week, if you're starting a business, At this stage, this is a temporary, untested idea that you're in search of customers, you're in search of figuring out how you can put the answers to these 9 questions together in what we call a business model that actually will allow you to have a business that survives, that is scalable and is sustainable. So we've gone through this again. You know the resources and activities, you know what resources you need to find, you know the activities you must do. So now it's time to go out and start exploring and asking questions and figuring out what what your customers really want you to do. Before I switch though to the customer discovery part of this presentation, let me take a minute and see if anyone has any questions or comments or needs help on any of the boxes so far in the customer discovery. And I'm sorry, in the business model canvas. Do we want to turn microphones on if anyone needs to ask me a question? Can you?
Okay, yes, we're doing that now. Jay, can you allow to talk?
Okay, so Carla, Christina, Tina, you all should have microphones now. So does anyone have any questions for me so far?
Not at this time. You've given some great information.
Thank you, Tina. Okay, so let me get started in the customer discovery. And Christina, I know you're particularly interested in some help of exactly thinking about what kind of people you should go out and interview. So let's make sure we, cover, and I'll try to chime in to, with some ideas for each of you. So let me just, whoops, what did I just do? Switch something. Okay, let me do a share the screen. And let me think, I have to go to the art of customer discovery. Okay, so is that on my screen properly now?
Yes.
Good. Hey. Okay, the art of customer discovery. Okay, so everyone, I think, hopefully is clear with what this term customer discovery is. It's the adventure of going out and showing the business model canvas you're working on. It's the adventure of talking to as many people as possible. To the more people that you talk to, that you listen to, that's the second part of this. It's not just talking, it's really listening with an open mind. I guarantee you that it will, if you do spend like a week or 2 or a month just to talk to people about what you want to do, that you will get numerous ideas and observations that I guarantee you will save you time in the long run, will save you from spending money the wrong way, and will help you in this process, hopefully find some customers and even some people who are going to really be interested even in introducing what you're doing to other people. So again, the customer discovery starts with what I've been talking over and over again, an incredibly clear problem that you are obsessively interested in solving. Even after all of these 9 boxes that you've done your first draft, you've done this on your own, it really needs you to step away now and go back to stating again, what is the exact problem you are obsessively trying to solve? Again, I think it's helpful to remind yourself, is it a painkiller or a vitamin? Is it something that you're trying to eliminate the pain or prevent it? And now you have to start thinking of who exactly do you think has the problem? You also, when you're doing this piece of discovery, it's not about just having interviews with people who have the problem. It's also a time to be thinking about what other people should you be talking to. I know Christina's thinking about doing something in the mental health space. So your customer is clearly the person who is not feeling great and wants some help. But certainly at this stage of starting a business or thinking about what you want to do, you also should be putting on your customer discovery or stakeholders list mental health professionals, other kind, guidance counselors, other kind of people who can help you get a perspective on their experience with people who are having some challenges with depression or anxiety. I mean, Tina with skincare line, obviously to be talking to dermatologists, to be talking to even people, even going into skincare store like Sephora and talking to people in the store and watching, what really attracts people. That's part of really discovering and learning and kind of having this adventure that you're trying to solve the problem of what the solution to the problem of what is the best way to solve it. So what is the art of customer discovery? Well, it actually is 5 steps. First, you kind of have to think about your plan for it. By plan, it's the idea of thinking about what kind of people you want to what kind of people you want to talk about, talk to, where are you going to find them? And it also is thinking about the kind of questions that you want to ask them, the kind of things that you want to find out about it. The second and the most important part of this customer discovery is listening to what people say. It's actually sitting there without saying something for a few minutes, because people in that silence also often give you the best ideas or sort of really tell you what they think about what you're offering. The third thing is to really take notes and document and write down what people are telling you. So in a very objective way. And fourth is to have an attitude that you are learning, that if you totally believe that humor might help someone with a feeling a little bit depressed, if you talk to 4 or 5 people who are suffering from this and they tell you the last thing that I want to do is laugh, or that this is a really bad idea, I mean, you kind of have to listen to that and see how, whether or not you have to change how you're approaching it, or what exactly you want to do. And that's what we call a pivot. So oftentimes what happens is you will do this first draft of thinking about who you want to go out and talk to. You will go through this process of listening, writing down what they say, thinking about what you've learned, but you may totally tweak what your idea is for starting. And so what that means is you actually have to start this whole process again, revisit your questions, revisit the people who you want to talk to, and go out again and whatever. So let's get to how you're going to start put together this list of who you should be interviewing. Last week, I did share this idea that one thing you might do is to get very detailed in who you think your ideal customer is. Actually describing the person, their age, what they do they have children, are they married, where do they live, what kind, are they a morning person, are they a night person, how educated they are, and actually even maybe cutting out a few photographs from magazines or downloading them and putting them in front of you, of sort of thinking that these could be your ideal customer. But at this time, it's also good to have a slightly broader thought of who potentially is your customer, who has the exact problem that you want to solve. And you particularly should be thinking about who has been looking for a solution to the problem. And most important, who has put together a solution out of pieces and parts of things that exist. And then the last thing is to be realistic. If you're thinking that you can't sell your skincare line or you can't sell a coaching hour for less than a certain amount of money, then you really have to also be thinking about what is the income level of the person who really has enough money to be your customer. So that's kind of your first step to figuring out this, what to do. Now, one example that I like to give you a sense of all the different directions that you possibly can go through, is if you were launching something in the healthcare line, let's say that it was a skincare that was for bed sores, not for menopause, I think you said, or a skin product for men. Let's say it was something for bed sores. Well, if you think about it, these are all of the people that you would have to interview to get a sense of what really that product should be made of. You'd have to interview the patient, you would have to interview family members, hospital administration, doctors, nurses, insurance companies, government regulators. So again, when you're thinking about all of the people who can help you get your idea better, this is the kind of thinking that you should think about, is anyone who has contact with the people that have your problem, anyone who's sort of trying to solve a piece of it that you might be able to partner with. These are the kind of questions you should be asking yourself to figure out who to go. So the basic questions, and we're going to go deeper in the script that I have, but the basic way that you're going to start this interview is to find out whether or not the person has the problem or they know someone that has the problem. You, of course, don't want to waste your time interviewing someone who doesn't really need it. But if you're doing something like a new skincare line for men, it also could be that you want to get more deeper. If a man says they don't think they have the problem of needing a skincare product, you want to kind of get behind it of why they don't think they need it, because that also is going to give you kind of an idea of trying to figure out what kind of men would be likely to buy your product and what kind of men wouldn't. So once you found a man who was interested in skincare, then the next thing you would want to ask is, how do you solve the problem now? If you're looking to help someone with some depression issues, the next thing you would ask is get a handle on what they're doing to make themselves better. Do they want to make themselves better? What do they like about how they're kind of taking care of themselves now? What they don't like? And then after you kind of get a sense of whether someone has the problem you're trying to solve, whether you have a sense of how they're solving it now, what they like about the solution, what they don't like about the solution, now it's time to ask them, show them what exactly your idea is for solving, and to just ask them what they like about your solution, what they don't like about it. Eventually ask them if they would buy it. And then you can get into asking them where they would buy it. Would they buy it online? Would they want you to maybe have a house kind of demo day? This is the kind of deeper kind of questions to be asking. And then, of course, you should be asking them whether or not you can keep in touch with them as you evolve on this problem, because these people may be your eventual customers or may be able to introduce you to your customer. And of course, the biggest thing to do whenever you get someone to have one of these interviews is to say thank you. So looking at these questions, you're really right off the bat asking people to give you a certain amount of time. It probably is kind of difficult to do any kind of interview like this in less than 10 minutes. But as you can see, it's really super if someone can give you some more like 20 or 30 minutes. So you can really get into the essence of how they're solving a problem and really make sure you pick up all the great ideas which they may be sharing with you. So some other tips about the art of interviewing before we get into our templates is that it really is better, in my opinion, to be doing live interviews. Although, of course, Zoom is a good second option, but there still is something about talking to someone live that I think people get more into the conversation, really tell you more honestly what they're thinking. If possible, it's a good idea to have two of you doing the interview so you can focus on asking the questions and someone else can be taking notes. Another possibility is to ask the person if they mind if you record them so you can go back and listen to exactly what they've said to make sure you didn't miss some of the points. It's always a good idea to ask the person that you're interviewing to tell you a story about when they had the pain. That is an easy way for you then to ask questions about the story to find out, again, how they solved it, where they went for the solution, what they liked about it. But often a really good way to start an interview is to just ask for an example of a story about when they had the pain you're trying to solve, and help walking them through exactly who, what, when, where, why, and how they solved it. Again, you're digging into what's wrong with the question. Asking why over and over again is helpful. Asking why they went there, why they tried that, why they think there isn't a better solution out there. Why don't they use skincare now? Why don't they think that they don't take another action to get better results from their depression? So why, of course, is the secret of really getting under the lid of the solution to your problem. Now, people, of course, like to be polite. So disarming politeness is really important. Making it clear to the person you're talking to that you're not set in your ideas, that you're extremely interested in hearing their opinion about what you're doing. Being quiet for a while, letting someone think a little bit before they give you an answer will lead to better answers. And of course, the biggest thing is to listen, and to get absolutely super excited to hear something different than what you want to do. Because in that, you're going to find the way that you can actually improve on your particular solution to the problem. So some of the no's for doing these kind of interviews is you don't actually want to pitch what you're selling because you're not ready to. You should absolutely present that you are not totally in love with your solution. Your presentation is about you are in love with solving this problem for this person the way they ideally would like it solved. No ice cream questions. This is the thought that, again, that you don't ask questions that can be yes or no. Asking someone, do they like ice cream is a yes or no question. If you are trying to come up with a new kind of ice cream or a new kind of dessert, you want to ask a very much more open-ended kind of question, like who, why, how, what, and particularly the why question of why you like ice cream. The big thing also, of course, to be careful about is that one person's opinion or one answer is not the whole solution. So if you hear something that you really feel isn't right for you and your solution, or it doesn't feel right for you, It's fine. I mean, you're unique kind of person on your journey on this. So certainly listen to people who have sort of maybe out there ideas on how you should solve the problem. But again, you're looking for some sort of consensus and agreement on exactly what would be the best way to launch your product and solve the problem. So the art of this, again, is the art of listening, that you're looking to see patterns, and you just should be talking to everyone you possibly can. In my mind, you shouldn't launch a company until you have some paying customers, that you have found people who say, yes, I am willing to give you X amount of money if you do launch your product. I personally like to see at least 10 people that you've found who will be interested, but different kind of products could certainly be started with fewer paying customers. And then, of course, the whole thing to remember through everything that we've been sharing in these last 2 weeks is that the whole purpose of doing a business model canvas in pencil, the whole purpose of showing it to as many people as possible is to change your mind about what you have to do. It is to pivot. That at the end is the absolute name result. So I think I shared this with you last week. Again, it's one of my mantras, is that the secret of startup success is learning how to talk and listen to strangers, particularly that listen. So that is my just overview on customer discovery. Kenya, did you put, and did we send the template in advance to everyone, and or is it in the chat box?
I can put it in the chat now. I'm not sure if Jennifer sent that out, but she should have.
Can any of you tell me if you got the customer discovery questions in an email? It's a template. Okay, I am going to also share it. I think that would be good. Okay, can you see this? Can you see the
Yes,
Yeah.
I see it.
Yes.
Okay, so did you guys get this document?
Yes, we did.
We did. Okay, great. Okay. So this is something that we've created to help you design your script and help you start thinking about what you want to do with customer discovery. So obviously what you could fill out is the, kind of the name of the business you want to start, your name, or if you have someone helping you with this, you obviously would have your brother or your partner or someone else if you were asking them to help you with interviews. You're trying to make a certain amount of a plan for a certain amount of interviews with people before perhaps your next session. I see we didn't change the date on here, but obviously this is for 2023. And then you have to start thinking about where you're going to find these people, and what exactly are you going to be looking for, and what kind of times would you go to this place for the best result. So what this is about is if you wanted to go, if you're looking for young people who are suffering from a little bit of depression, I would imagine that you might be looking for people probably in quieter kind of places. I mean, imagine maybe the school library, maybe to be going into a coffee shop and looking to see if people are sort of on their own. maybe just asking your friends to help you think of anyone who has had any issues with depression and anxiety. If you're thinking of something like skincare, you're certainly going into a skincare store and asking people who are shopping there is one possibility. Church groups are a great possibility for potential people. The gym is another idea. So thinking about, where Starbucks, McDonald's, these are all kind of places that you potentially could be talking to someone. So now, how do you introduce yourself? Again, we suggest that you just, politely introduce who you are. And I strongly, my opinion, I think people love helping people. So going up and telling someone that you're thinking of starting a company or business which sells or does something. And then your next question is about, do you have this problem or do you have any experience with someone who does? You're then asking them to ask for a certain amount of time. If you can do it in 5 minutes, you usually can get people to at least give you 5 minutes, but maybe sometimes that's a good way to start and then go deeper. So as you can see, we then also think that your first question to ask is to ask people to tell you about a time when they dealt with this problem or tell you about what they witnessed another person go through when they were suffering, say, from depression or whatever. So if you, again, these questions will be sent to you, but samples of the kind of things that you can be asking is how you solved it, how much time and money did you waste, how much did it cost you, what type of person do you think would benefit the most? And then on the second page of this handout, which will be sent to you or you can download, we also give some sample questions of how you can ask how they're purchasing it, what kind of benefits they're looking for, and really getting into the details of what features they would like best for the solution of the problem. And then, of course, it's very good to end the interview with a little bit of a summary of what you heard, and making sure that you understand what is most important to them. If you were going to start a new skincare line or a new mental health coaching service, what is the most important things that you should be offering? So just wanted to highlight that this is a template that you should have received that can help you get started. So let me now, after I've covered all the material that I wanted to, we do have a few minutes. So Christina, if you want to come back now and let's pick up on helping you figure out what kind of people you would like to interview or who your ideal customer, I'm happy to continue that conversation. You want to rejoin, okay? Christina, go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, thank you, Barbara. I appreciate it. And yeah, thinking along the way with the information you were sharing already offered some clarity, so I'm grateful for that.
Thank you. Okay. So what's your thought? What kind of people do you, I mean, you have to find people who admit that they're suffering from depression. So you kind of have a little bit of a challenge, right? So what's your thoughts on?
Yeah. Well, actually, so because I'm actually going to be certified in a certain type of, it's a healing modality. And I had the realization that I could maybe consider yoga studios or sort of like centers that way. And it might do better for me to try to actually reach, like, basically it would be a yoga mom. And then, yeah, from there, maybe have the potential of reaching a younger person. And I think my earlier resistance was the idea of that, the system as I see it, as far as those mental health professionals or the guidance counselors, that like was the first step, thinking on it. I just worry that that system's too rigid for this type of work. So I think if I can think around it, but then also keep an open mind, maybe I need to connect with a few places is the point.
Yeah. Certainly, mothers with young children, I think all of us know that's a really hard. And many, many women privately suffer for depression and sadness and loneliness in that circumstance. So I agree with you that, and I like what you did, that you thought about, getting really clarity that a yoga mom is really a great place to start. Absolutely. I also, though, would suggest to you, even in your entire circle of family and friends, maybe to have a broad net of asking if any of them are willing to talk to you about times that they felt depressed, and maybe potentially finding some other people to talk to and other ideas for different kinds of clients. But I could go either way. I also could encourage you to just totally, grab it. Search for yoga moms. I love it. I think that's
I appreciate that thinking too, because yes, the work that I do, it serves people in transition.
okay.
The people that are doing these type of healing sessions now tend to be reaching, and I would say an older demographic than, like just out of high school or in college or that type of thing. And it's that I would like to do that, but I can see where, they've had lucrative consulting businesses with that type of group already. Like that's sort of what they're doing. So I'm trying to think around it to maybe like expand the audience for it, because I think it's a great modality.
Yeah. Again, one of my mantras at the very beginning of the last week's session is that I do believe that every person on this call is put on the planet for some unique purpose and whatever. So it also has to speak to you. So, I'm hearing an excitement in your voice that you just connect with perhaps the issues of the yoga mom. So that's an aspect of this, is you want to make sure that you're using what you're learning to help the kind of people that and in the place that would actually make you the happiness, and that you're going to feel the most enjoyment helping and really being known for, right? Christina?
Thank you. Yes. And I appreciate what you're saying, is to basically trust my instincts as far as who my audience is, because on some level there's a that I'm uniquely supposed to create. Yeah.
Yeah. When you start, but I also do a certain amount of coaching in my life too. And I prefer to work with entrepreneurs. Oftentimes high level corporate women come to me because I have had corporate kind of major jobs, and they come to me for help. And I've realized over time, I'm very good at helping them figure out, but it doesn't speak to me. I'd rather work with scrappy entrepreneurs and whatever. So there's two sides of it, to really, particularly if you're doing a service kind of business such as coaching, you want to be sure that the clients that you are setting your business up to help are really the kind of people that you want to work with going forward, right?
Yes, I hear that. And I can also offer that your passion and enthusiasm has been very clear to us all here. So just to thank you for that also.
Tina, do you need any help with thinking about your skincare product and who you're going to go after?
Yes, I wanted to get your feedback on lists and mass emailing, and how do you feel that would be with both of my customers, my clients, whether it be a female, and in this case, the ages between 45 and 55, and a male, the ages between 40 and 50. And you mentioned the gym, which is a great place that I was looking at. And then also I was looking at barbershops and talking, because that would give me more time. They're not in a rush. You could speak to it. But then I'm also thinking, gee, I wonder what a mass email list would be about, or if it would be effective.
Yeah. Okay, let me just go back to a couple of things. I like your idea, particularly your barbershop idea, Tina, because that also, you're killing, I hate the word killing, you're accomplishing, well, killing two birds with one stone. Was what I was gonna say. I'm not in the mood, I'm trying to it's this beautiful day, but, the barbershop, I mean, because that's a potential strategic partner. So if you think about it, a barbershop also could be the place where you could be selling your product. So it's not only that you want to talk to the person's customers, but if you go in and he or she allows you to talk to his or her customers, they may get excited, and you may find that then the owner of the shop says, "Hey, Tina, you can set up a shelf here with your products, and I'll help sell them." So that's another way of how this customer discovery actually can help you get direct customers, but also it would help you potentially find someone to sell. For something like a skincare, how far are you on the skincare line? Tell me how you, and one thing I will say is it usually is easier to start with a product just geared to one demographic. Are you doing research because you can't make up your mind, or is your intent to actually launch with two different products right from the beginning?
Well, I have a manufacturer who has given me samples, who have made products for me, and the samples are good. They could either be just one, or I could, make it two different customer bases and sell it that way. And so if I decided to do email, e-commerce, it would work effectively doing it that way. Or
okay, so basically what you're saying is you actually are designing one skincare product, but you're beginning to realize that 40 to 50-year-old men and women equally would be potentially interested in it. Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. That's correct.
That's cool. Yeah, that definitely is fun because you're okay. So if you were going to not have live interviews, what's your thought of what you would want to do in a mass email?
I'm thinking, and I really am just thinking, this is a very new part of it, of a way to interview and get their feedback and have them share with me any issues or concerns that they may have and like to share. Again, because of the age group,
Yeah, in my experience, you get deeper information when you do it live. But because you're talking about a very precise consumer product, Tina, I can imagine that you could develop like a monkey survey with asking questions about, do you use it, what you like, don't like. The one thing that I would suggest is that you don't have multiple choice answers, that you allow people just to type in anything they want to, tell you about what they're doing. I also would suggest that you don't have any more than, 5 to 7 questions. Usually on an email survey, you can only get like a minute of someone's time. Where again, if you do live surveys, people love to talk and they love to have their opinions taken for granted. And then also, if you did a survey, I would definitely have the final question: is it possible to call you or be in touch for more information?
Okay, excellent.
Okay, does that help you?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
But really, and I definitely would suggest that you show your survey to a number of people before you put it out to make sure that it's not biased. And what would be the main thing that you would want to find out from this survey?
Well, I would want to find out if people are having issues with their skin. And again, those age brackets are because 40 to 50 men are working out at the gym more, they're sweating more. They might be somebody who's really suffering from things that they don't like to talk about or share. Whereas if it's a female, there's definitely going to be some skincare issues that they probably would like to talk about.
But you may be wrong also about the guys. Some guys may want, love to tell you more, right? And that it's because nobody ever asked.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Okay, let's see, so Carla or Tia, do you have any questions or anything I can help with before we close in the next few minutes?
Not right now, but I'm very glad I sat here through these because it's very informative.
Um,
I really like the way you run your presentations, you know,
thank you.
your webinar.
Carla, tell me what kind of business you're thinking of starting.
It's e-services aiming for real estate brokers and agents and home inspectors. What
Okay,
we're trying to do is we are gonna set up a company that is gonna take the front and the back ends of their own business. Because these are people, I am a real estate agent and I
Right.
know people in sales, they're constantly on the road, right?
Yeah.
Trying to or show houses or do inspection in houses. And they don't have time to come back to the house or to the office and do all the front and back ends of it. The CRM, the
Yeah.
lead generation, you
Yeah.
know, the CMA. So we are gonna pick up that end of it. We'll do their digital marketing. We'll do the CRM for them, you know, and it's on a subscription basis. So.
Okay, Carla, that's a great idea. My only warning to you is to definitely have a few of these people working with you as you develop your product. It sounds to me that you probably have this very, very organized for your own business. But you do have to double check that the way you think and the way you want things organized really has a universal appeal. So even when it's so precise of what you're doing, really do suggest that you try to have a conversation or maybe line up 5 to 10 other professionals to take a look at what you're doing so that you make sure that you create a product that is useful for all of them.
And you think between the and the customer, that would be the people I just said, or
Yeah.
people that are in the business of generating these results, generating CRMs and
Yep.
lead generation.
That's great. Super. And then Tia, I think I saw something in the chat, right? You're fine. Great. Okay. I think you all are invited to another webinar to start in about 12 minutes or so. So let me close here so you can take a break before that one starts. I hope you found this helpful. It sounds like you at least got a few things out of it. So really appreciate that. So again, I wish you incredible success in the launch of these new companies. It sounds to me like each of you have a pretty clear idea of what you want to do and are making some amazing progress. I'm sure as you go through this program, hopefully by the end of it, you'll be at a whole other level and making money and whatever. So wishing you all great success and have a fantastic rest of the evening. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too.
Thanks so much.
The link to the next webinar is in the chat. Just take a moment, it's there if you'd like to attend. It starts at 7.